Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
All right, what's good, everyone? Welcome to a early Monday morning edition of Monday Motivation. So here, Live Wire Sports Media, I want to cover something that I came across an article of, and it's dealing pretty much how we already know that the CBA is in the works, and we already know that a lot of things is predicated on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. But now, after the economical boom of Caitlin Clark coming out of college, coming to the NBA, WNBA, the WNBA wasn't really prepared for what was to come with Caitlin Clark. They thought it was just a college thing, but then her fans transcend into the WNBA, giving the Indiana Fever a much needed boost. Not just that team, but the league itself. And we see attendance numbers breaking, merchandise sales, stadiums being sold out, revenue at the gates, and all of that stuff. But now, how fitting would be if the Indiana Fever was to win the WNBA title this year? And when I say that, because the fact of the matter is that if they was so, it's a win-win, not only for the Fever, but it's for the league itself. This could help them continue to grow for several years, because we already know the league wasn't moving, it wasn't doing anything it's supposed to do in terms of its superstars. And you had a 20-year-old vet in Diana Taurasi in there, and you got an 8-year vet and Asia Wilson in there, and you still couldn't move the needle. And you got Breanna Stewart. And the fact of the matter is that Asia Wilson won 2 titles. Breanna Stewart just won her first. Nafisha Collar is yet to sniff the finals. Well, she sniffed the finals but lost. So they don't have a lot of leverage or growth to where it comes to making money, because they're not good products to promote. Yeah, there's some good women in the league, but they don't move the needle. And here comes Caitlin Clark, shifting everything. So now, in their terms, they're thinking, oh, well, since Caitlin Clark moving the needle for us, we deserve more money. And then Ricky Umawali came out. She's like, oh, this should be definitely $1 million or several $1 million players in the league. Well, I don't agree with that, because the fact of the matter is that who's going to be a $1 million person? I do believe Caitlin Clark will probably be the first $1 million contract in the league. Paige just got in the league. You got to yet see what she's going to do. And she's too quiet, and she's too much playing politics with the white privilege thing. So it's not, people ain't going to take to her. They're going to stay away from her a little bit, because she's trying to fit in. And then who else you have? Sabrina Nescu. She's a good talent, but she's kind of quiet herself. She goes on about her business. I like Sabrina, so there's nothing against her. Nafisha Carla, she too mixed up with the UConn thing with Breanna Stewart, instead of separate herself and to have her own identity. I think that, to me personally, I think Nafisha Carla will benefit better separating herself from that stigma of UConn, because it's going to be looking like, well, you don't play against Breanna Stewart in the finals and you can't beat her. So it's going to be interesting. And all the players already signed a 1-year deal because of this year. Now, next year, everybody's going to be out of their contract. Majority, all of them, going to be out of their contract, except for the rookies and the current rookies before them. And players are going to be looking to join teams and seeing what they're going to get paid. But you got to understand, with the new CBA coming into place and the money that's going to be there, you still can't pay these players the way they want to. I don't care what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because it goes by tiers. and the tiers is going to be factored in how these players are going to get paid. It's not going to be just one big lump sum. Oh, this person deserved this, the person deserved that. No, it goes by tiers. It goes by tiers. And I said it before, you know, the only way it's going to be beneficial for this league is for them to get some kind of G League in place, develop all the talent. You've seen so many young talent is getting cut now off of these rosters. All of these players, all of these teams had multiple draft picks, 4 or 5 draft picks, and you could only keep 12. You could have probably had 2 more roster spots where they could keep an additional two, and some of these players wouldn't get cut. Even then, where they gonna go? You're not gonna probably hear from them no more. They probably gonna go overseas for a while. And then you got all these expansion teams. My thing is, the Golden State Valkyries should have been the only expansion team coming in the league. But then you're trying to usher in 2 more after that, and the talent is so thin. And then you're gonna have to poach from different teams to make up them rosters again. So that's why I'm looking at that. But Front Office Sports came out with this article, and it said if Caitlin Clark Fever realized title dreams, WNBA will win big. And the reason why that is so important is because the WNBA needs to continue to ride Caitlin. But they have to also acknowledge her in the sense too, not just saying, "Oh well, we need to do this and we need to do that." You can't do that. You have to build on the success that you had for last year. We just seen in the Brazil game that Caitlin Clark Fever in a preseason game, the only preseason game out of the league that averaged 1.3 million viewership and peaked at 1.6, I believe, or 1.9. And the only time that ever happened, it was the LeBron James era, early era in preseason with him playing against Steph Curry them and another team. So you only see that from that standpoint. But I'm gonna read the article for y'all real quick, cause, and I also will pin this article in the description so y'all could look in there and y'all could follow along with it and understand where I'm going with this. Because at the end of the day, it says the Indiana Fever had championship expectations this season. Caitlin Clark, she already made she already made that known that the goal this year is to win a title. They're not looking at just making the playoff. They already did that last year. This time it's trying to go further to win a title. Title. And battling for a title would be the biggest step for the Fever after a 2020 finished last season. After all, Caitlin Clark is only 23 years old, entering her second year in the league. However, Indiana made significant changes in the offseason to justify the lofty expectation. The team brought in a new coaching staff to lead the 23, led by 2023 Coach of the Year, Stephanie White, and added veterans Dewana Bonham, Natasha Howard, Sophie Cutterance, Cindy Costa, and Brianna Turner to complement the young core. The main thing was lacking with the team was experience, which they didn't have experience last year. We already know that. The team was very young. They had a lot, there was some internal issues with certain players, not the whole team, but certain players. And that led to a lot of exodus out. And then it was bad contracts with certain players too, that you couldn't hardly get out, or you had to buy out, or you had to come to some kind of agreement to get for under them because of what Lynn Dunn was trying to put together over there, and she kind of like sacrificed the cap. So, with that being said, they had championship pedigree. Clark said in a press conference, and this article is back in May 8th, by the way. So that article came out, and Caitlin Clark made it known on that Thursday. So, due to the changes, the Fever had the second best odds to win the NBA title. WNBA title behind the defending New York Liberty, according to ESPN Bet. DraftKings had the Indiana tied for second with the Vegas Aces, winner of the previous two championships, while FanDuel has them third behind the Liberty and the Lynx as the 2025 runner-up. So now, with that being said, Why is it good for the NBA? Well, I'm here to tell you why it's good for the WNBA. It's because the fact of the matter is the WNBA needs the Indiana Fever to succeed. They need to have them deep in the playoffs. They even do need them to make the finals, and they even do need to have them to win it all, because the growth of it will be astronomical for the growth, where they could continue to do things, continue to grow in a positive light, where they could continue to also make it known for the league, the players, and for the teams. If you want to continue to grow the league, this is one way to do it. You gotta back behind the person that is the driving force behind the league, and that is Caitlin Clark. Nobody else is driving that. Angel Reese can't do the numbers that Caitlin Clark is. Yeah, she's a social influence, but at the same time, she's not filling seats like that. The only time she's gonna fill seats when they playing against the Indiana Fever, and that's it. Maybe Vegas, maybe Minnesota, maybe. That's a maybe, guys. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, what is going to be for them? Even Angel Wilson can't do it. She just dropped a shoe line, and she can't even. She has to give away shoes pretty much to make up for what they selling. Yeah, they sold here and there, but she's not the face. And you could tell how a league starts switching from the person that was in the league for a long time to a new face. Caitlin Clark is pretty much the face of the league because she's the driving force behind everything, money wise, revenue wise, viewership wise, merchandise wise, attendance wise. She's the face of the league. There's no explanation to say the least. But so a competitive Indiana team will result in consecutive record-setting seasons for the WNBA league ratings. Last year, the league averaged over a record 1.2 million viewers on ESPN during the regular season, while Iron averaged 670,000 viewers in a 133% increase from the previous year. More than two-thirds of the league's telecast last year that averaged at least 1 million viewership involved the Fever, and that's despite the team's 2-9 start to the regular season. And it was a rough start to the season because of the schedule, how they was. They was playing all of these games in 20 days. But the league set it up that way to put them on must see TV, knowing that this team needed time, you know. But nevertheless, Caitlin Clark still was a drawer. It's just like a boxer. If Floyd Mayweather is boxing, you're gonna tune in. Simple as that. If Gervonta Davis, Tank Davis boxes, you gonna tune in. It's just that kind of draw. So, but it also took one preseason game this year to show that there's no there's no Caitlin Clark with no Caitlin Clark fatigue. The Fever game against Brazil national team draw over 1.3 million views on ESPN for the first time. The network aired a WNBA preseason game, and it won't be the last. Trust me, it won't be the last. It was Clark's first organized game in more than 7 months. So 7 months, she has not touched the basketball in 7 months, just through practices and training camp wise. So Indiana will have the highest, with the league high 41 out of 44 televised games streamed nationally this season. 36 of the 40 games last year. They had 36 of the 40 last year. Wow, I didn't know that. The WNBA added 4 games to its regular season schedule because after the Golden State Valkyries were added to the 13-team expansion. A deep playoff run for the Fever could also break postseason viewership records for the WNBA. Indiana 2-game series last year averaged a 2.2 million viewers, more than 4 of the 5 WNBA final games. While the league is experiencing unprecedented growth for games without Clark, The 2024 finals were the most watched since 2000. It is clear her presence is a multiplier. The 2025 WNBA Finals will also be the first 7-game season in league history, which opens the door to even more playoff games if the Fever make it all the way to the end. So, like I say, if the Fever make it all the way to the end, in which we expected they will, the league will benefit better. And then you got to think about this. And this is how it will play into the CBA because now they'll say, well, hey, the Indiana Fever did this. We did these numbers. But the catch is you can't go in there asking for more than what you expected. That's the main thing. Because if you go into the CBA and thinking that you are owed something, and instead of say, hey, we would like these terms and allow them to give you what this they could give you at that time. Because if you think about this, if you for think about this for a second. If Caitlin Clark never came into the league, would the players opt out of the CBA? That's the question. The answer is no. They wouldn't have opted out because the fact of the matter is they would have just wait till this year was over, go to the table, and negotiate whatever they needed, and that's it. Now that they see that there's money being made and dollar signs everywhere, so they figure, okay, well, you know what? Hey, Caitlin Clark came in the league. We doing this, we doing that. All these numbers. Okay, we owe this. No, it's not going to be that way. And then talking about striking, striking is going to be a form of answer. Um, i- is an answer for them? No, you can't. Because guess what? The league is not going to allow y'all to strike. Now, the league could allow y'all to strike, but again, I say this to caution y'all because the league can replace these players. Everybody in the league is not going to strike. There might be a handful of players that's willing to strike, but the whole everybody in the league striking for more pay is not going to happen. It's not because there are players that they could go after and replace. Players like you cutting from these teams right now, they could get these players and say, "Hey, we need y'all to come in and play for this team for this season," like that. And guess what? And if the whole entire Indiana Fever team do not strike and Caitlin Clark don't strike, guess what? That's really gonna make it look bad on y'all. Because then they could sit back and say, well, Caitlin Clark and her team is not striking, sitting out the season. They plan on playing this season. So if y'all not going to play, then we could go ahead and get players that was drafted last year or players overseas, bring them over for a substantial kind of contract and still play the season while these players sit out. And guess what's going to happen? It's going to make them still look bad because the viewership is going to continue to be high because as long as the league got Caitlin Clark in place, it don't matter if these players sit out because sometimes you're not watching them anyway. So you got to be cautious with that. But in a sense, the NBA could benefit highly if Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever takes it all the way to the end and win it, because you will give the league a great boost of fresh air. A new champion is born, a team that has everything that you was looking for, and you got must see TV with this team every year, and you gotta ride the you gotta ride the wave of it because now you look at it. Say you have 50 games next year. The Fever is gonna be on must see TV all the time. So my suggestion is this here is that the league, Kathy Engelbert and whoever, they need to say, hey, we need to promote the Fever more. We need to promote this league. We need to get to this point on and everything else. Because we already seen them fail at it for the Olympic situation. And if the league, if they go into the CBA thinking that they need $1 million of money as players, you're not. Because you got to think about this. The league, the CBA has to pay more money to the team to be able to pay you more money. So if you already got players on this contract, because you look at this for a minute, sit back and think about this. Everybody who has opted will be opting out this year. How each team and where they go and where they sign at, how are they gonna get pay all these people all this type of money. It's not going to happen. That's what people. This is where Breonna Stewart and all of them ain't thinking. Y'all opting out all of y'all contracts, signing these 1-year deals, but you ain't thinking that when you sign to a new team, how much money this team is going to get. The team that wins the championship might get a more of a boost because they're champions, but they're not just going to give you X amount of dollars to pay you on a roster where you only got 12 players. You need, and this is why they need 13 to 14, maybe 15, so they can stretch that money out, so they can utilize that money in a better light, and then be able to pay two or three people on the contract a little bit more. But they're not just going to pay all of these people that sit out or strike out, talk about they deserve more money. You're not going to get it. And that's the thing that they really have to realize at this point, is that they're not going to get paid more money, but there are this other incentive that they could work on to ask for to help them get in there, like add more bonuses to like what you accomplish in the league. You know what I'm saying? If you make an all-star, you get more bonuses on that goes and tie into your contract, you know, your new contract or whatever the case might be. That's just like in the NBA. If a player is up for a supermax contract and he doesn't, if his play fall off like the second half of the season, it will hurt him to get a supermax contract that's worth like $215 million. It might be like one something. So that's, to me, I think in terms that they need to write these contracts a little bit better. So, but let me know what you think about the whole situation. How beneficial would it be for the WNBA? I haven't did a 20-something minute video in a long time. I try to keep it pretty much in the 10 to 12 range, but I just needed to get a little bit off this off my chest because I haven't talked about it in a while, and I really need to clear up some stuff because I think the WNBA PA is digging themselves a hole that they might not recover from if they become too greedy. And the NBA needs to realize that having Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever make it all the way will be such a huge boost in the second year of her existence to help this league continue to move forward, because the league won't move forward if there's no Caitlin Clark. The viewership will go down astronomical if they get knocked out the playoff in the first round. It just won't be that. Then you have to find matchups. So I think having Indiana go all the way and finish on top would be very beneficial for you. So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe. Live Wire Sports Media. This is your Monday motivation. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I will leave the pinned description for the whole article down below for sports. Until the next episode, you know what it is.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live Wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.